Even when I was a child, I remember myself going and helping at first aid courses. I even did a paramedic course. But wherever I see an ambulance going, I would go to the other side. So it's something that I didn't know that, but that wasn't my passion. But to make my dad happy, I went and I did my science degree, and then I went and became a dietitian. And I worked in a hospital, and I absolutely hated it. It was just not meant for me. And I was lucky to be able to get a job in afternoon classes for gifted children, working with them on science, math, and technology. And this is where I found my passion. So for 24 years, since I was born, it took me 24 years till I found where my passion is. And when you look at Ort's mission, it's very much aligned to where my dream job. I am living the dream. And I believe that each and every one of you can live the dream too. So when we recruit people, for example, we recruit people that are in line with this passion, with the skills, with a purpose that's like Ort. So when you look for a job, you will look for a job or a workplace that has the same passion and dream job that you would like to, which I will talk about it now. So why the Career Hub? We're hoping with the Career Hub that it's going to be a series of webinars. So that's the first one. And we hope that with the Career Hub, you'll get clarity about your path to take that you'll take with you into your dream job. You'll get some knowledge about what's out there. And we can also hope that you will get connections, understanding the importance of networking. As Tracy said, you can win a gift. It will either be a CV writing, either a mentorship or a gym voucher. And right at the end, we'll tell you how you can win this prize. So I just want to tell you, we've had 100 people enrolled that registered for this webinar. And when we looked at the demographic of the people that enrolled, what I thought was important, you can see that most of the people that enrolled were between the ages of 18 to 34, but there were some that were beyond the age of 35. We see that there are 60% youth that we've got people that are unemployed, and the rest are either employed, 29%, self-employed, running a business, and retired. But what's interesting for me, when we ask the questions for those who answered, are you seeking a career change? 84% of people said yes. That means that people, if they are in a job, are unhappy. They are miserable. And when I said, okay, if we look at Ort's history, when it started in 1880, you could have expected the average life expectancy would have been 39 years old. Now, our life expectancy we can expect to live up to at least 79 years old. We know people that are older than that. That means when you do the calculation, that the average spend of hours at work, it's 90,000 hours of work during your lifetime. So a third of our life is spent at work. And I want to ask you if this is the way that you see yourself living. Waking up in the morning, being miserable, don't want to even open your eyes, or just thinking to yourself, oh, I cannot even imagine what my day would look like. And I'm sure that your answer will be no. So now you'll say to yourself, okay, how do I find my dream job? And the dream job is basically in the intersection between proficiency, passion, and purpose. And I'll talk about each one. So it means that you need to look at, what do I do best? And look at passion, what do I love doing? And then the purpose. And in the intersection between all of that, all the common things that you will find, this is where your top of the mountain is. This is your dream job. This is where you're living the dream. This is when you wake up in the morning and you fired up. So let's look at that, at each of those elements. Let's look at proficiency. So when you looking at proficiency, you look at what are your natural talents, what are your skills, what are your character strengths. And there's some questions that can help guide you. So we will send this presentation to you, but at the end of maybe by tomorrow, so you can actually use it like a guidebook. So let's see what question to find out about what you're good at. What subject or activities did I excel in at school? What always that I've done, I found really coming easy for me. What do others ask me for help with? So just think about the last time someone came to you and said to you, please help me with. Think about what is it they say? Help me with, and complete this answer. What is the one project or result that you've produced that you are really proud of? That when you tell your friends and you need to really motivate yourself, you say, do you remember when I did that project? Wow, I'm so proud of. Make a list of the 5 things that you do best. So this is when we look at proficiency. Then let's look at passion. So passion talks about what I love doing. And there are books about it, talking about the state of flow. And the state of flow talks about when you are busy doing something, you don't even feel that the time had passed. That you look at the watch and you say, how does 2 hours of my time went by without me even noticing? It's the type of job that you do that you find it frustrating on the one hand, but exhilarating. And also the type of job that you really feel proud about yourself. And here are some more questions that you can ask yourself that can guide you to find what your passion is. So what makes you fired up and excited to tackle? So if you were to wake up in the morning and you know that this is the job that you're going to do, your eyes are open and you jump like there's no tomorrow. And what do you find yourself reading articles about? Also look at your social media. Who do you follow on social media? And also, what do you do? What do you find yourself doing when you're losing track of time? And also make a list of those 5 things you love doing. The other thing is purpose. And there are many books written about the why, written by Simon Sinek. And you've got The Power of Significance, written by John Maxwell. And I want to tell you a story. The story is about a stone man. So a guy walks by and he sees a person building a wall. And he says to him, do you like your job? So the person says to him, you know, I've been building this wall for as long as I can remember. The work is repetitive. I work in the scorching hot sun all day. The stones are heavy and they're really hurting my back. And, you know, I don't even know if this will be completed in my lifetime. But it's a job. It will pay the bills. So the guy walks 30 meters and he sees another guy building the same wall. And he says to him, oh, do you like your job? So the guy says to him, you know, I've been building this wall for as long as I can remember. The work is repetitive. I work in the scorching hot sun all day. The stones are heavy and really hurting my back. And I'm not even sure that this will be completed in my lifetime. But you know, I am building a cathedral. Now look at the difference between those 2 stone men. Who do you want to be? Would you want to be the first stone man who just pays the bill? Or do you want to be the second stone man that can see the why? That wall is going to be part of something bigger than him. So let's look at questions that can guide you. So think about what makes you cry. What are the injustices or people that you would like to help? That when you think about it, it really makes you upset. Or what do you think about? That if you were to help those people with a certain product, with a certain service, something that you'll be thrilled and exhilarated about? And what are your dreams? Select one word that best describes you. So sometimes, you've done lists upon lists. Try and put in one word what best describes you, and that can help you focus even more into finding out who you are and where you would like to go. So when we look, by the way, at the purpose and passion, remember, and proficiency, we go back. The intersection, when you look and when you do this list and you'll see the common things between these three things, you know that you're on your way to find your dream job. And that's, now that we are in uncertain times, is the perfect timing to do that, because there are so many opportunities that are out there for everyone, and I'll talk about it as well. So let's look at this quote, which I really love. The purpose of life is not to be happy. It is to be useful, to be honorable, to be compassionate, to have it make some difference, that you have lived and lived well. So what is the legacy that you will leave behind? Whether you are employed or whether you start your own business. Now I want us to tackle in very briefly, like what's stopping you from reaching your dream job? So there are many things, but I chose the main three. One is self-esteem. The other one is fear of rejection. And the other one is lack of knowledge. So let's look at each one. When we look at self-esteem, it's really saying we have low self-esteem, we don't have confidence, we even find it difficult to complete those questions that we ask. And low self-esteem comes from where? It comes when we compare ourselves to others. And when we compare ourselves to others, it's the worst that you can do to yourself. So if I can ask you, remember one thing, don't compare your despair. So instead of comparing yourself to others, compare yourself to yourself from yesterday. So every day, say to yourself, how am I better than I was yesterday, the day before? I also, another thing that people are frightful, and I can tell you that, the fear of rejection, the fear of saying no. And I can tell you that part of your journey of finding your dream job is going to be putting yourself out there. When Tracy and Lori asked you, please introduce yourself. It's part of that, putting yourself out there and saying, this is who I am and this is where I'm from. What I'm going to ask you is even more. I'm going to ask you to go out there, and once you find what your dream job is, you're going to start interviewing people. And some people may say no to you, but the no's are not a failure. And remember that every rejection that you get will build you up. The more rejection, the stronger you become. The other thing about the lack of knowledge, this is the purpose of the Career Hub. OAT is all about lifelong learning, about education, about exposing yourself to the knowledge that is out there. And I'm hoping with the Career Hub that you'll become part of this journey, can become part of your journey. And you will then, I will also show you the calendar of events that you can then keep yourself updated with the events that we will be offering. And this is a lovely statement that I saw in one of the books. It's easier to go from failure to success than from excuses to success. So no more excuses. So now we're saying, okay, I found my dream job. Now what? And I want to share with you the principle of proximity, because many times we have excuses and we say, oh, I can't do it here. I can only do it when I'm moving to another city, to another town, to another province. I can't do it for whatever reasons. And the principle of proximity talks about that everything you need to get started is within your reach. And if you look at examples like Walt Disney, if you think about Amazon and Apple, all these big companies, You know, they started in the garage at their home. So nothing stopped them from going, and obviously they went big from there, but they started within their proximity, within their reach. The other thing is get qualified. Once you know what's your dream job, look for what is required for you to get that job. Do you need a degree? Do you need a certificate? Do you need maybe experience? And I want to tell you about a man that many years ago, his dream was films, and he couldn't he couldn't afford himself the studies. So what he did, he went to a video store, and for many years he worked there in the video store earning nothing. But during his work, he watched thousands of videos. He wrote references and he wrote notes, and he became one of the biggest filmmakers, and this is Quentin Tarantino. So this is example of somebody who didn't let the fact that he doesn't have the money to study or gain experience and found a way to pursue his dream. The other thing is find a mentor, because once you know what your dream job is, in what industry it is, look for people that have that expertise in this industry for many years. They can help you. People like to help people. I can tell you that, and that's from experience. But when you do go to mentors, appreciate their time. Come prepare. Have a notebook. Prepare your own Career Hub notebook and write questions that you want to ask this mentor about the profession or about the job that you're looking at doing. Now, you may say, how do I find those mentors? And that's where we'll have you, who's going to be talking, will give us a little bit of introduction on LinkedIn. And later on, we will tell you what they did is we will run a whole workshop on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a wonderful platform that you can use to find people that are in the industries that you're at. Another thing is, and again, it's in the principle of proximity, if you want to put yourself in if you want a certain dream job, a certain job, put yourself there, even if it means that you need to volunteer if there is no job available. And be ready for no's. Be ready for rejections. The rejections are fine. They're part of building you up. Also, another thing that I want to add to our Career Hub is I want you to learn how to sell yourself. So when you look at it, I wish I could see you all and talk to you. Which is the one that looks like the best smartphone in the market? You'll probably say that I can see RIM because it's the first here, and it's 39%. Great. And then the next one would be the green one. This is what went through my mind, so I'm sharing that with you. But this is Apple presenting their smartphone market share. And when you look at it, it actually tells you, they managed to sell you that Apple is better than all the others. You know, you've got RIM, Apple, but this is the way they presented themselves. When you actually look deeper, the purple one is bigger than the green one. So there is one, the purple one is other. There are other that are better than Apple. But the way Apple presented themselves, and this is what I want you to learn, because the competition is fierce. We've heard that the unemployment rate is going beyond the 30%. So you really need to stand yourself out there beyond all other people. How do you do it? Sometimes it's about you know what? Very high percentage, we'll talk about it in one of our webinars, is about how you present yourself. Be that green, be that apple that can show they are better than the others. And I just want to talk a little bit about the future of work. The future of work is quite important, and we therefore have at least in the pipeline 3 workshops around the future of work, because we know that many people, whether you're employed and whether you're not, are concerned about this. Tracy, am I okay with time? Okay. Sorry, I'm okay. So if
We're
you
on
didn't say anything, it's
23 minutes past 4.
good. Okay, perfect.
Okay.
I'm good. So when you look at the future of work, I've got this diagram. I'm not going to talk to it a lot, but we know that the work shifts from completing a task to problem solving and managing human relationships. We heard about robotics, automation, Internet of Things, machine learning, cloud computing, all these big words. And we hear about robots replacing humans. Yes, they will. And I found a very interesting research by the World Economic Forum that says machines will replace humans, especially for the repetitive and routine tasks. But what's interesting is that they predict that although 1 million jobs will become redundant, 1.75 million, so it's almost 2 million, almost double million of jobs will be created. But what's also interesting with the future jobs, and we'll talk about the IT section and the IT industry and all that, that the jobs of the future will require human skills. They will require the problem solving, the communication, what is called the EQ, the emotional intelligence, design, explanation. I'll give you an example. If you're thinking of becoming a lawyer, so now I've had somebody saying, I don't know if it's worthwhile being a lawyer because you can do everything, online. You can draw contracts, you can do everything through technology, which is true. But I'm not a lawyer. I need somebody to explain to me what the technology is producing. So you will need to be in the future. If you are a lawyer, you would need to be really able to communicate to me what the technology is producing. The other thing that the world of work is doing is that because I think that COVID-19 been an accelerator for that, and the workplace is changing and people are more open for remote working. So do you know that the workforce from it used to be full-time or part-time, now we are looking at a very big increase in freelancers and gig workers. So there are much more now companies looking at a different way of working, which means that you don't need to be employed by anyone if you've got a skill that is required in the gig economy or as a freelancer. You can be a business on your own and you can offer your services through those platforms. So we will have a whole lot of webinars around it. So what is the best way of getting going? Is getting started. So we will send you this this as a booklet. I found this website it's actually a US government website, but what I thought was really good about it is that you can take any occupation. Once you click on the occupation, you can see all the other subsection of this occupation. You can see at what level of salaries this occupation can pay, and what are the number of new jobs that are required in this occupation. So this will be part of your book that we'll send you. The other thing is for youth between the age of 15 and 34. There is the sayouth.mobi. It's not an app. You go onto a website. It's a Mobi. So you click sayouth.mobi, and you can then register yourself, load your CV, and it's 100% free for you. You don't have to pay, and it will then connect you to a range of opportunities and services that are available in your area. So please, if you meet this criteria, you're 15 to 34 and you are a South African, go on to this website and register yourself. There is also that careers portal, which gives you opportunities also for various training. And also what I want to talk about is, when we look at the dream job, and I think I mentioned it before, it's not only about being employed. Not everybody's cup of cake or enjoyment is actually being employed. And the economy of South Africa is reliant heavily on small businesses. And at ORT, we have the division that's called ORTJET. And what ORTJET does, it provides training, mentoring, and networking opportunities for those businesses that are needing help. And I don't think I've mentioned, I found it very interesting. You know, we're talking about mentorship. Bill Gates, in one of the interviews that he had, admitted that he has a mentor. Warren Buffett is his mentor, and he learned time management from him. So the value of mentors, not only for finding a job, but also for you when you run a business, is major. And if you are looking at starting a business, please do go onto the ORTJET website. And I think Lori is going to put in the chat the link to the next induction, which is on the 4th of March. This is the calendar of events that we have scheduled so far. So as you can see, we've given you the whole month of March to do your work, to find your dream job, to find to get the view of what's that mountaintop looking like. And to get to the mountaintop, you know, there are many steps you need to take, and we're happy to follow you in this journey. You can see the workshops we're offering in April and May. There are 3 workshops in May around CV writing, and it's for different categories. So please do look at the one that's relevant to you. I'm really looking forward also to you, because LinkedIn is a platform that can be utilized by many of us for various things. And and I think it can really stand you out from the rest by using LinkedIn. And we also will have the future of work, different types of talks about that. And please do go on to the ORTSA website and keep yourself updated. We will also post on our Facebook page the upcoming webinars. I do want to ask you to please let us know if there is anything that you would like us to add to these webinars. There are so many things, you know, in addition to CV, interview skills, what happens after the interview, all these things we'll add, but we want to work around also the needs of the members of the Career Hub. And how do you win the ORT gift? So to win your gift, you will get a link on the chat, but we'll also send it to you via email. What we want to ask you is to please share with us what you found useful or not useful from the talk today, and what you would like to hear more of. And the ones who fill that form can stand a chance of winning a gift. You will get a chance of choosing which gift you want, whether it's whether you would win gym voucher or a mentorship or a revamping of a CV. And just to leave you with the last inspiration, that there are moments in our lives when we find ourselves at crossroads, and the choices we make in those moments can define the rest of our days. But even if we went the wrong path, there's always another crossroad for us to take. So please do follow us on our social media. We are on Twitter, on Facebook, on YouTube, and I think this recording will be on YouTube, so you can share it with your friends. And we also on Instagram. So if there is any questions, then I'm happy to answer them.
No questions. Perhaps people are waiting
until the end of the webinar.
Okay.
So, Ariella, I'd like to thank you for the most incredible talk. From my introduction to Ariella, you can clearly see why the AutoSA staff are always inspired, passionate, and live within the 3 Ps that Ariella mentioned, which are proficiency, passion, and purpose. So, having said that, I'd like to welcome Hugh O'Connor. Hugh is the LinkedIn Enterprise Account Director and has worked with LinkedIn for 5 years within the African market, consulting and advising with businesses and employees to implement digital recruitment solutions and branding to ensure they are the employer of choice. This allows them to target, engage, and hire the best talent that is available in the market. Hugh's role is to ensure you're set up on LinkedIn correctly and you have your own brand visible to these companies to ensure that when they come looking, they're able to find you easily and successfully to help make your dream job become a reality. So Hugh is joining us from all over the other side of the world, and we thank him so much for his time this afternoon. Please note that Ariella put up the slide of the Career Hub calendar, and Hugh will be doing a 45-minute webinar for Career Hub on the 11th of May, and it's titled LinkedIn Best Practice. So I encourage you all to join us there. And Hugh, I'd like to welcome you and hand over to you. Thank you.
Super. Just checking that you can hear me, first of all.
We can hear you clearly.
Okay, super. Well, look, thank you so much, Ariella, first of all, and Tracy for the lovely introduction. I hope everybody can hear me clearly. So just before we start, I'm just going to kind of give you a little bit of clarity about what I'm going to cover off today. I've got a couple of minutes, so it's literally just going to be a high-level overview and an introduction into terms of how I potentially can help you within your career and what LinkedIn does. Okay, because a lot of people think LinkedIn is literally just a profile, but it's a lot more than that. So I'm just going to give you a little bit of context about how you can build your own LinkedIn profile, have your own personal brand, and then that will provide you with the opportunity to allow companies, these companies that you potentially could dream of working for in the future, that they can come and potentially engage with you. Okay, so just before we start, so I'll just give a brief introduction to myself, first of all, so you'll understand who I am and where I'm coming from. So my name is Hugh O'Connor. I'm based out of Dublin in Ireland, which is the international EMEA headquarters for LinkedIn. So from here, we service EMEA, which is Europe, Middle East, and Africa. And the team that I work with specifically focuses on Africa. So I've been working for LinkedIn in the African market for over 5 years now. And LinkedIn has been operating in South Africa for just over 8 years. So initially, LinkedIn, when it came to the South African market, it was working with companies. And we also worked with individuals like yourselves across colleges, universities, and education centers. And we tried to get people like yourselves to build your LinkedIn profiles, and then we would build. So let me just take a step back there for a second. So what is it exactly, and how can I help you, I guess, is the simplest way to approach that. So number one, what I will cover off in the next webinar in May will be, I will present to you best case on having a LinkedIn profile. What does a LinkedIn profile do? How can it get your brand out there? And how do you set it up? And I will talk to you throughout the whole process in terms of setting that up and what is needed to ensure that you can have the best possible LinkedIn profile. It's actually quite simple. I will share after this call with Ariella, Laurie and Tracy, a little link to kind of hopefully give you the opportunity to get kickstarted on that before we even do the May webinar. Okay, so that will just give you a little bit of information in terms of how you set it up and what the best practice looks like. And then we can go through it in a little bit more detail in May. So a lot of people ask me, like, what does LinkedIn do other than just LinkedIn profiles? So what I do is I work with companies right across South Africa, starting from small companies to medium companies to large enterprise companies, the likes of Standard Banks, Old Mutual, Discovery, RNB, Sasol. I could go on and on and on. I work with those companies to implement a software program for them, which allows them to very quickly go out and find and engage and hire the best talent that's available in the market at any given time. Now, if you don't have a LinkedIn profile, these companies are not able to find you, okay? Because the majority of South African companies at this particular moment are utilizing LinkedIn to be able to go out there and find the best talent that's available in the market. So what we want to do in stage one of the process is to get you a LinkedIn profile so these companies can start engaging with you straight away, okay? And just to give you a little bit of context, my 3 previous roles, okay, before I worked for LinkedIn, I worked for a company called Oracle, who you may have heard of, a big IT company. And before I worked for Oracle, I worked for a company called eBay, okay? And eBay is obviously a multinational e-commerce platform. Now, I did not have to search for any of my jobs. Those 3 companies came, found me on LinkedIn, engaged with me, and I went through the hiring process for all of those companies without literally having to lift a finger in terms of going to them and handing my CVs to them. So Ariella earlier on was giving you fantastic advice about how to set up, how to start the process, get yourself educated on skill sets. I won't go into that in too much detail. We can focus on that down the road, but this is a really an important first step, is getting your LinkedIn profile set up. Okay, so how can I help you? I guess is probably the most important question, and you're probably wondering, what am I doing here? So I'm here to help you, okay, to try and get your personal brand out there and into the hands of as many companies as I possibly can. And as I mentioned, step 1 of that process is getting your LinkedIn profile set up. Step 2 of the process is getting it set up in a way that companies can start to engage with you. And we want to get that moving as quickly as possible. That will ultimately build your LinkedIn profile, build your own personal brand, make people and companies and hiring managers aware that you are on the market and that you are looking for or searching for employment, or that you're searching for a new and exciting opportunity. We want to help you get noticed. Okay, so that's what I'm here to do. That's pretty much it in a nutshell. I don't really have a huge more that I want to cover off. It's kind of just a high level overview. And I think I've kind of covered that off without kind of repeating myself. So as I said, I will share some information with Laurie, Tracy, and Ariella in relation to hopefully providing you with just a template of how to set up your LinkedIn profile and kind of to get you started on that process, because we do need to kind of get to stage 1 as quickly as possible. And then, as I said, we'll do a webinar in May where I'll go into a little bit more detail and hopefully bring you to the next level in helping you that. So I'm not too sure if you want to open up for any questions. I haven't really gone into too much detail. It's just a high level overview to try to just give you an indication of what I'm going to cover off. Yeah, that's pretty much it from my side.
Thank you. Thank you, Hugh. I just want to also mention that one of the advantages, I don't know how to call it, LinkedIn is a platform where it can be used for various things, for businesses, for putting yourself out there. It's very different from Facebook, from the side that it's creating more professional look. So I know many of you are on Facebook, and you can use the Facebook from a social point of view. LinkedIn is more professional. It's got the more professional look, and you just correct me if there's anything else. There are opportunities also to connect with potential employers through LinkedIn, but you can't harass them. So hopefully you will give us the right tips around that. It's also an opportunity for you to build your brand, because part of what you'll be going through is selling yourself. So how do you build your brand on LinkedIn so you will be noticed? The other thing that LinkedIn does, there is, I think, Tracy, I will add it to the pack. There is a LinkedIn Learning as part of Microsoft initiative as offered, I think about 10 or 11 courses that are offered for free. And they took the top 10 professions that are in demand based on, you know, because LinkedIn is used by, I don't know you how many thousands, millions of people in every country. I don't know how many in South Africa. They are able then to see, they can do an analysis of how many, what are businesses looking for and how many. Am I right, you? I mean,
yeah, you're absolutely right, Ariella. And apologies, I probably should have started with a high-level overview in terms of how LinkedIn is from a global perspective, and I kind of skipped over that point. But you're absolutely right. So at this particular moment, we've got 740 million skilled professionals on the LinkedIn platform globally. There's 8 million skilled professionals or professionals on the LinkedIn platform in South Africa. We've got 116,000 companies represented on South Africa. We've got 10,000 colleges and universities. Yeah, so you're absolutely right as well. So I kind of touched on the point earlier on about how does LinkedIn make money? And people always ask me that question. And to answer that question very simply, there's 4 key components of how LinkedIn makes money. Number one, there is talent and recruitment solutions. So that's the area that I work with. I consult with companies, I go and meet them, I try and get an understanding of what their recruitment requirements are, i.e., how many candidates or how many employees that they want to hire over the next 12 to 18 months. And we will build out a software solution and provide that to them. And they're effectively the software solutions that will allow them to be able to go out and find candidates like yourselves who are on this call at this very moment. Secondly, there is a sales software solution that primarily is focused on companies who have a big sales requirement. Then there is LinkedIn Learning, as you mentioned. LinkedIn Learning provides companies and individuals with an opportunity to upskill themselves through online learning. And lastly then is marketing solutions, which is primarily for around agencies and companies who want to market and target specific demographics. But on your point as well, LinkedIn is the world's largest professional network. It is a social media platform, but it's very, very different to the likes of Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Snapchat, and Twitter. So just be very careful of that. It is a professional network. So some of the things that you might post to your friends and stuff on Facebook, you might not necessarily post on LinkedIn, and it is a professional network. So everything that you post on LinkedIn will be there for the future. So just be very conscious of what you do post if you do post something.
Thank you. I mean, thank you for this. And then also being part of LinkedIn is like Facebook. It doesn't require you to pay any fees. I don't know if there are any questions that you would like to ask you or myself. Any ideas or anything?
Just to touch on that point, you're 100% right as well. To set up a LinkedIn profile.
We can't hear you.
Sorry, can you hear me now?
Sorry, I think
I can hear you.
Sorry. Yeah, just if you want to set up a LinkedIn profile, it's completely free. It doesn't cost anything. I think maybe everybody can hear me except for you, Ariella, for some reason. So it is free. You don't have to worry about cost or anything like that. It's completely free.
Thank you. Are there any questions before we say goodbye? So the premium member, I know that there were questions about becoming a premium member, but to become a premium member, that's in case you want to certain elements in the profile. If you want to see, so Zindle, LinkedIn Learning, I will send it as part of Tracy. We will be able to have the emails of the people that attended, right?
Yes, correct.
So we will add that to the presentation. Do you want to speak about the premium member? Because I know that in another workshop there was a question asked about it.
Yeah, and it's a good question. So to set up a basic LinkedIn profile, it doesn't cost anything. That's completely free. But if you want to upgrade, to give yourself more visibility, to allow you the opportunity to engage directly with companies, you can pay for a premium membership, which is a monthly cost. Now, something that I hadn't really kind of mentioned to you earlier, I can give out 5 free premium access for 6 months to 5 candidates. I'm not really going to get involved in terms of who you decide gets those, but I'll leave you have that conversation afterwards. But I do have 5 premium accesses afterwards. All you need to do is you come to me with the 5 people who can have it, and just let me know their LinkedIn profiles or their email addresses or their LinkedIn. They have to have a LinkedIn profile in order to get access to that.
Okay, so I think Tracy, how do you suggest we do that? Must we change the form, or do we do it in a different way?
So I think what we're going to do, because we've just heard about this and it's
Sorry.
so incredibly exciting. Thank you, Hugh. Is that we will update our prize form, and you will receive communication tomorrow from us with all the resources and the links that both Ariella and Hugh have spoken about. And I think we're so incredibly fortunate, especially now, since the onset of COVID, to have access to international experts. If we were in a live environment, we could never have flown Hugh to South Africa to speak to you about LinkedIn. So from that perspective, it's such an incredible opportunity that we have to be able to bring you international speakers. Ariella alluded to the content that we would like to bring you on the Alt SA Career Hub. And we're looking at a number of incredibly wonderful topics to help you reach your career destination. So please, when we do send you the form, please ensure to let us know what you would like us to investigate bringing you. We're looking at different things such as the role of a mentor, preparing yourself for the workplace, entrepreneurship, etc., etc. So we would love to give you what you ask for. From my side, Hugh, thank you so much. It's been wonderful